How is it going, guys? We are going to talk very quickly about the authentication in Nakama. Have you ever found yourself confusing about the authentication in Nakama, especially in a real project? Or maybe you want to level up your skill in Nakama like a pro programmer. You are in the right place. Let me give you a snack peek what you will watch in this video. We will talk about the factory class. It is a handy tool for creating and organizing things in the Nakama client and session. We are splitting Nakama config into parts for the client and session. It's make everything clear and simple. We are creating cool class called session extended that let us to extend and clear it from the another part of Nakama. Brace yourself for learning adventure. We will touch on some professional part, but easy to understand concept like a tuple and unit task. They are as shortcut that makes your code simpler and more fun. Welcome again, my friend. This video is here to be your friendly guide, making everything about the Nakama authentication system super clear and easy to understand. And I will promise you, you won't be found in any other tutorial, and we can discuss and find our problem together. I think it's like a piece of cake. We are making Nakama authentication just as essential. And I will share this project, link it here, and you can download it and find my problem and let me know, and we'll discuss about the project. In today's video, I will cover an extra class for expanding client and session. So without further ado, let's dive in together. You have to prove how you're speaking to the system. Something, hey, I'm here, in a special way. Now, this system is super cool. Why? Because it is flexible. You can authenticate with your email, with your Facebook, with your device ID, and even you can log in from other device using link like a Facebook link. With this way, you can use a different login and still recognize you. But there's a tricks. You can only connect things like your spatial ID. It's like making sure you have only the key to enter the room. So Nakama has these cool things. It is called authentication system. It's like making sure your keys only fit to door. It is like using your device special fingerprint. If you don't have authentication yet, don't worry, Nakama will handle it for you. Here is a cool part. If you have authentication system in Nakama, you don't need to have a login session and bothering user to log in. That is because Nakama say, hey, I recognize this device. Let him in automatically. Now, let's get our hand into some coding. Okay, first of all, we need to create a folder and call it scripts. In a script folder, we have to separate our scripts into parts, one for runtime part and another for editor. And also, we create a folder and call it manager. It is used for our Nakama manager script. So our Nakama manager is inherit from the mono behavior. And we need some extra folder and call it factory. In this folder, we create all factory classes such as a client and session. Now, we have to run and install the UniTask from the GitHub. So follow with me to download and install it from the GitHub. UniTask is a part of UniRX library, which is reactive programming library for Unity. UniTask is specifically designed to provide the unified asynchronous programming method for Unity applications. We are copying this link and paste it in a package manager in Unity. So with this URL, Unity can download the UniTask from the GitHub. It is an alternative to the traditional task and async await pattern provided by C#. This function takes two parameters, one for a string represent the tag to find the client, and another one is an instance of server client config for client configurations. If a client with a specific tag exists in the list of client extended, you want to return true, and the corresponding client extended instance using tuple. Otherwise, you want to create new client extended with the provided configurations and set the tag, then return true with the new client. This method focuses on initializing the Nakama client with the specific configuration and provide the feedback throughout logging, depending on the context of your application. Now, in our client extended class has two parameters, tag and client. This init method is responsible for initializing the client property of the client extended class with the new instance of the Nakama client. As you know, creating client in Nakama need parameters include skin for HTTP or HTTPS and host and port and server key, and also we need the Unity web request adapter for handling HTTP requests. And also we need the options for the auto refresh the session. It returns the current instance of client extended. This can be useful for changing method or providing a reference to the initializing instance. Now, we need a simple way to create a Nakama session using various session settings. This create session function gives back a pair of values to show whether it was successful or not, along with the modified session extended object. Choosing to use a switch based on a type of T provide the flexibility in dealing with the various session configuration types. A public string variable representing the tag associated with the session, and public variable of type of iSession representing the Nakama session. Now, a generic method for creating a session based on providing session configuration. This capital T must be subclass of session config. Now, this method uses switch statement to handle different type of session configuration. One for a session config device and the other for a session config email. It casts the session config to session config email. Finally, the method returns a tuple, boolean, and session extended with the true indicated success and the current session extended instance. Now, our session factory is similar to a client factory class with a slight difference. It includes a private list that stores instance of session extended. This class is responsible for managing and creating session. If a session with a specific tag already exists, it returns the existing session. Otherwise, it creates a new session added into the list and provide the information about the creating session. And then the event on create session allows external code to be notified whenever a session is created. This string property is used to keep track of the last tag used when created session. This generic method is for creating session based on a private session configuration. That generic T must be a subclass of session config. This method first checks if the session with the specific tag already existed in the session list. If it does, the method returns a tuple indicated success and the existing session. If not, it creates a new session extended instance called its create session method to initialize it. Also, invoke the uncreated session event to subscribe and update the last tag created. Finally, returns a tuple indicates success and the newly created session. As you can see, session config is a base class providing a common structure for session configurations. Session config device extends a session config and is specialized for device authentication, providing a default constructor that automatically set a device unique identifier. Session config email extend a session config and it's specialized for email authentication, allowing a manual configuration of username and password. These classes are designed to allow a flexibility in a specific different type of session configuration while sharing a common base structure. Depending on the authentication method like a device or email, once you have the instance, you can then set the necessary property unique to that authentication method. To test our classes such as a session factory and client factory, we require the Nakama Manager class to manage the initialization of Nakama-related components. Utilize the client factory to generate a Nakama client. The outcome is a tuple conversion, a success flag, and also create a new client. Within this section here, if the client success is true, it will generate a session configuration for device authentication and set the unique identifier, and the result is a tuple containing success flag and the newly created session. If a session created successful, for now we need some log for information about the session and the client. And here the asynchronous method suggests that it may invoke the network operation. In else part here, we can handle our errors. That is wrapped for today's video on custom authentication in Nakama. I truly hope you find this video helpful. If you enjoy this content, it would be awesome. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button to friendly talk to each other. Feel free to drop the comments here. I will be here to answer you. Thanks for joining me. I will catch you in the next video.